Welcome back. You've refound to all the cars I've loved before, your authoritative podcast on automotive nostalgia, where every car tells a story and every car has a culture. It's time to plug in, dust off, and get a little grease under the nails. Oh, and slip on that favorite car-themed shirt. By the by, my co-host is looking dapper today in his latest. Now, did you just pick up that shirt from the dry cleaners? Is that what is that what happened?
It's fresh. To give away a little secret, we're gonna have somebody from Mazda USA on the podcast in a few weeks. So I wanted to make sure I had my Mazda shirt. I have owned 4 Mazdas. I did own an RX-7. This shirt is actually for the last generation, which I did not own. The FD, which everybody loves. That's like one of the hero cars. Best RX-7 ever. Of course, the last RX-7 ever. And I just wanted to get another shirt.
Now, are Mazdas like a punch card where if you buy 11, you get the 12th free, or the baker's dozen or something like that? Is that what you're doing? You said you own 3 or 4.
4. No, they're just great cars.
Mazda. Cars. This is going to be really exciting. That's going to be a lot of. We're very excited about that.
Yes.
And welcome to our new listeners. Hey, heard around the world. I don't know if I mentioned that at the top of the intro. Around the world, yes. Past 5 days, we can go into the analytics and the software that we use. And for the past 5 days, welcome to listeners in York, Pennsylvania, Plano, Texas. I think we have a few in. We have multiple sites in Texas, but internationally, London. Welcome back to those listening in London. But our big one is pop quiz. Big island in the southern hemisphere on the other side of the world. What do you think?
Pop Australia.
Quiz. Yes, Australia. Welcome to our listeners in Sydney, New South Wales, and Melbourne, Victoria. We are just really excited about that. And so, hey, drop us a line. I'm Christian at carslove.com. He's Doug at carslove.com. Give us a call or shoot us an email. Let us know what you think. Feedback, reviews. Speaking of reviews, we're getting a bunch of them on Apple Podcast. Very excited about this. And I'm going to read one right now.
Please
What do you think? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Here's the love.
Here's one that's not too critical of me. We're not going to read any of those. This one says, what is happening to my phone right now? Okay.
Oh boy.
If you're a car guy, you have to listen. This is from December 4th from F Monty. Maybe that's F1. F1. I don't know who that is. I've always struggled to find. Okay, this is the review. I've always struggled to find the best podcast about cars. And this one hit the nail on the head. It's engaging, funny, interesting, and I love the stories. I for sure recommend this podcast, not just for car people, period, anybody, 3 exclamation points. So that is, when we started this, Doug always likes to say that the show is about family, bringing together people, talking about kind of the daisy chain of people and cars that move through our lives. Today, the theme of today's show is going to be hand-me-downs, and we will get into that. But what do you think, Doug, when the review says this is for anybody? It's not just for gearheads. We have those. We have people that restore antique cars, people who write books about cars, people who educate the next generation how to work on cars. But it's for anybody. You don't have to know anything about cars to have a good time here. Yeah. What do you say?
I agree, and pretty much all guests, and we can put our guest on the spot when we get to her and do the introduction. Pretty much all of our guests have said they have enjoyed the preparation part. We have that short form that takes 5 minutes to fill out, intake form, and when they're filling it out, just their mind goes back to that first car. Might have been 30 years ago. In the case of your son, when we had him on, it wasn't that long ago, but there's still some smiles out there. And I like seeing that. I also like being able to tie it back to, maybe it's just a coincidence in the story that triggers something in my head that takes me back.
Yeah. And it's interesting how we talk about, hey, where did the first car come from? Oh, some people just had to work their fingers to the bones. Sometimes there were hand-me-downs. Sometimes it was grandma's car. Sometimes it was, it had been sitting up on blocks in the backyard, and you had to shoo away the mice and squirrels before you even started your restoration. And so when we talk about hand-me-downs, we're so excited about today's guest, who has a lot of experience in just hilarious speaking with her before the show. But I'm going to hand over the baton here to Doug for the introductions. And how did Krystal come into your world? Why is she such an appropriate guest for our show?
So many things. And I don't know exactly how it happened, but when we were working on podcasting or initially talking about it, Krystal's podcast, the Proffitt Podcast, popped up, and I started listening to her pretty religiously. And, it was funny. What prompted me to put us on YouTube was actually one of Krystal's episodes about just do it, make it simple, just bite the bullet. You don't even have to have video. And so that kind of got us going. And as soon as Krystal announced, I think it was towards the end of last year, her Podcasters Connect community, which is and I'll let her do the justice on it, but I hope to think I'm a very active member in it, and Krystal gives me lots of advice. Truly amazing how much time she devotes to everybody in there who wants help. And we have monthly calls. So with that, I can't say enough good things about Krystal. Oh, and when I said, would you like to be on our podcast? She's like, sure. I'm not really a car person, but I have a story or two.
It's going to be great. She's going to be great. She's here. She's waiting. Krystal, how are you?
Well, I mean, y'all do such an incredible job. Thank you so much, Doug and Christian, for having me on the show. This is going to be incredible, because I was like, guys, I'm not a car person. I'm really not. And I started thinking when I was filling out the form, because as you said, I'm a podcast nerd to my core, and I love a good intake form, and the way that y'all have it all laid out, I was like, oh, there's some stories here, because it is what I love. I love to tell stories in my content. It's how you take something that could be a boring subject and really amp it up or get it to the relatable piece of it for your listeners to enjoy. And I started thinking, I was like, I have some really good stories about cars, and they're not fancy, they're not flashy, but man, I'm excited. So I can't wait to have this conversation with you today.
Hi, this is Christian with To All the Cars I've Loved Before, your authoritative podcast on automotive nostalgia. Hey, have you ever thought to yourself, I love this show so much, I wish it would come out weekly instead of bi-weekly? Well, guess what? You asked, we answered. Henceforth, that means from now on, you're going to get a piping hot new episode of To All the Cars I've Loved Before, weekly instead of bi-weekly. How do you like that? We will see you on your mobile telephone streaming device of choice weekly from now on. Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate that. And before we get going here, just a little preamble, and we'll mention it as prologue too. If you're listening to this podcast and you have your own podcast, this happens a lot. And Doug is always bringing back these wonderful nuggets from the ether. A lot of them come from Krystal. A lot of them come from this great, huge community of podcasters. Can we just pause for a second, Krystal, and give tell your presences to everyone? How, if they go on your YouTube channel, what are they going to learn about? If they go on your podcast or your social media, where would they go to learn what about you?
Yeah. So you can find me everywhere. You go to krystalproffitt.com, and that's where you're going to be plugged into the podcast and YouTube. It's Krystal with a K, and Proffitt has 2 F's and 2 T's. And yes, that is my actual last name. It is not a stage name. I get that question a lot. That's another story about how when I met my husband and it was a whole thing. But because I was like, your name can't really be Proffitt. We met at business school, right? Like that was a total line. I was like, that's a line that your last name is Proffitt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you would have spelled it right if it was actually Proffitt, if it was intentional.
Exactly. Come on. But it was, I made him show, like, can I see your ID? Because I didn't believe him.
Sneaky.
So again, another story for another day. But yeah, I have met so many creators over the years, and I actually just met with someone today and they said the same thing to me. And that's, I want to be the person that helps you just keep showing up. Well, because it gets hard, right? I don't know if, and I know that the podcast is newer to you, but you come up against these hurdles, whether it's your life gets in your way, or you have to take time off because a family member's sick, or you have to do unexpected travel. And then it could just easily fall through the cracks that your podcast or your content is a priority. And so I try to come up with strategies that makes it fun. Like, let's not be so restrictive and like, really just rigid about the rules of what you're creating. And let's just infuse fun and create around, what you're passionate about, which is what I love that y'all are doing, because that's exactly the model that we try to do is, hey, find something you're passionate about that you could talk about literally for hours, because it's what you're going to do, and enjoy it, lean into it.
I like that. And Doug is our, Doug is really, he was really the kind of the inception for the show, for sure. He's also this push and this creative force that keeps us going forward. But there's this special thing off to the side, this pleasure part of it, where we enjoy getting together. We enjoy talking to the guests. And you said something magic where you just have to keep at the grindstone. And when we first started, we did our first 2 or 3. And Doug said, I was some early advice that we got before we knew you. This fella said, you got to make it to 30 by hook or crook. You got to make it to 30. And 31. At 2 or 3 or 4, right, past 30. At 2 or 3 or 4, I thought, we're never going to get there. I mean, this is my best pal, with his new hobby. I said, I'll help him go as far as he wants to go. I said, we'll never get to 30. Good grief. We have 30 or 40 now. That I think we've published, with another, I don't know, dozen in queue that Doug has to sprinkle the magic engineering dust on to get him out there.
Yeah. Well, we also had Matt Farah from I think it's Car and Driver editor said, when you guys get to 99, give me a call. I'll be on your podcast. So that's our target.
That's incredible. And it's so fun. Like I love hearing y'all's story too, because I think it's motivational for anybody that's listening, just to find that passion and just like start hanging out with your friends that love to talk about it too, because then it doesn't feel like work. Like me doing this with y'all, like this doesn't feel like work to me. It just feels like another fun conversation that I get to have. And it's about, again, things that I wouldn't even normally talk about, but it's in a situation where I know your listeners will appreciate what we're talking about here today. And that's what I try to do in any forum that I show up on, is how can I add value to the people that are listening, because they're doing this for entertainment value, or they're trying to get educated or motivated in whatever they're doing. And I like to just sprinkle in whatever kind of magic I can, and, go on to all the different pieces of content that we can keep creating for people that are out there.
Well, we are all about the magic. Love to hear it. Thank you. And before let's see. So we've talked a little bit about what you do, and I'd like to maybe revisit your world a little bit. Instead of you're stepping into our world as we've done for the past few minutes, when we're done talking about your cars, I would like to maybe step in yours and talk a bit about your business, your coaching, content strategy, and creating content. I think that would be wonderful. But before we get there, fan service. Let's step into the Wayback Machine and slide into the nearest car that'll transport us back to your dad's. Let's go to where it all started. Dad's business.
Okay. So do you want me to just start with what he did for a living first? And then
I think it's wonderful. Please. I think it's, we can't get enough of these family stories. Yes, please.
Yes. So my dad, actually, he started his own plumbing business. I was around 12 years old, and he was doing it all by, scrapping things together and saying, all right, like, we're going to make this business work. He was an entrepreneur, and, I'm following in his footsteps and a lot of the things that I do, but he was like, I just want to make this work. And so he was on a tight budget. He was working with, as many other contractors or builders in the area that he could get advice from or get free supplies from, or he could just have like, any kind of partnerships around our community. I grew up in Athens, Texas, which is in Northeast Texas, small town. But it was just like, okay, I saw him working so hard, and I am the youngest of 3 siblings. I have 2 older brothers, and I watched my brothers have, not necessarily pick of the litter. We wouldn't call it that. We would call it like, hey, this vehicle runs, so therefore you can drive it when you want, but just know it's going to be a work truck. Like, it's a work truck during the week, and maybe on the weekends you can drive it. And slowly over time, my dad would say, okay, you can officially, like, you've proven yourself. You haven't wrecked this fully. You can drive this full time. So that's kind of what happened for my brothers. But then whenever it got to be my turn, he was like, oh, we don't really have anything kind of in the rotation that him or his workers were using. And so I had the luxury, the privilege of getting what was a doo-doo brown. This is what I tell my kids when they ask me, like, tell us about your first car. I'm like, it was doo-doo brown plumbing truck that was a single cab. I still don't even really know what exact year it was, but I just remember it was a bench seat. I had a bench seat. And again, we're in Texas. No AC. There was absolutely no air conditioning whatsoever. It was manual windows for any, like, of course, my kids these days, they were like, what? You like cranked them down? Yes, it was a hand cranked window. There was nothing automatic about this. Nope. None. It was automatic, right? So it wasn't a stick shift. I still don't know how to drive a stick shift. So, I'm going to disappoint a lot of the car fanatics out there.
No.
But it didn't have a rear view mirror, which again, I don't know how it passed any inspections. It only had one side mirror, and it had a big crack in the windshield. And to get the windshield wipers to work, there was like electrical tape on the box under the hood. So I would have to pop the hood, like move that around and jiggle it a little bit to get the windshield wipers to work, which is the last thing you want to do in a rainstorm anyway. So yeah, that's overview my first vehicle, and it cost $1,000. I do remember my dad saying that. He's like, this was $1,000. You're welcome. Here you go.
And he gave it to you.
Yes, he gave it to me, but I did forget. And Doug reminded me of this before we started recording. The best part about the whole thing was before he handed it down to me, he did not take off the large Blair Plumbing insignia on the driver's side door. And I think it was on the passenger side too. So as soon as he said, here's the keys, this is your vehicle, I went to the store and, some auto parts store, got some Goo Gone, and immediately started scraping it off. And you could still see it. Let's just be honest. So I drove around town with a plumbing truck, and I was very grateful to have wheels.
Yeah. And it was cool at high school. Right.
Yeah,
in high school,
sure.
Right? Yeah.
Sure.
Well, probably a lot of trucks in Texas at high schools. I know there are a lot of trucks in Texas for sure.
Yes.
Fun. And down here in Florida too.
Oh yeah.
So what happened to that? Truck? How long did you have that truck?
That's a good question. And I couldn't remember if I had it for 2 years or about a year and a half, probably about a year and a half. And then I got upgraded. So while I had the doo-doo brown truck, my middle brother had inherited the next truck. It was the F-350, which we called her the big beast because that's exactly what she was.
The big truck.
She was the big mama truck. She was very big. So while he had that, I was drooling over it. I was like, look at this. Like, she's so pretty. And look at how many, because I was not a great driver. So I was looking at all the curbs I could hit and the less damage I would do in this monster truck. Cause that's what it was, basically an 18-wheeler. That's what I was thinking when I was driving this, and I like lifted the steering wheel all the way up. I felt like I was driving
some sort of train. Yeah.
Yes, because I'm pretty tall. I mean, I'm 5'7" ish, and I loved that I still had to get on the step bar to get into this vehicle. I was like, I'm literally driving a monster truck.
And then be careful not to fall out, right?
Yes,
door.
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So that was while my brother was driving that, I was just salivating over like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to get this truck. And then eventually one day, I don't even remember how the exchange went other than my brother inherited the next truck when he went off to college. And whenever he got the newer, I think it was a newer F-350. Again, we were obsessed with these monster trucks, which for gas mileage purposes made no sense.
Poor father, yeah.
But it was affordable, I guess, for my dad just to write it off and hand it down to his kids.
Yeah.
But my brother inherited the other truck, so I inherited his, and I love that vehicle, but for a 16, 17-year-old to park in a high school parking lot, I mean, I just had to just take my chances and the farthest I could go because I was so terrified I was going to take out like 4 other vehicles trying to park anywhere close to the school. So if I went to anywhere, any stores, I was like, no, I'm just going to park way out here where I won't damage any other vehicles.
I like how your father's business fleet, I can just see all these, small business person with these trucks lined up. And then, one gets bumped to the bottom of the depth chart and it just starts this cascade through the brother and sisterhood. And it just kind of makes its way through you, you. I love that. That's great. Sorry, Doug, you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, it's funny. We're, you think about things that spark memories. This is a recent one, but I was at a monster truck show a couple weeks ago with my son, and it was so much fun. And it's funny. My 83-year-old mother, who's still driving, she drives pretty well, but not at night. We don't want her to. Yeah. She's like, I can't stand these monster trucks. Just any truck going down the road because they're so big and so high and everybody likes to deck them out. And I'm like, Mom, you should have come to the monster truck jam with me.
She would. Yeah. Oh, she would love it. Well, your mom's very petite and in her petite little Honda too. It's a Honda, right? So I mean,
Honda Accord.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, all these things are just so much physically higher, when I get into, a sedan, you're down here, and then an SUV, you're here, and then you're in one of these F-150, 250, 350s. It's another thing.
But if you're Krystal, you're up here.
I'm there you go. Above everybody else. But the fun thing was, and it's funny because like you said, it's going to spark a bunch of memories. I remember I liked being the friend that like everyone wanted to ride with too, because I had the most room. I mean, I had a friend that had an Eclipse. I mean, I don't remember what year that was. Like she had this little bitty, it was like a 2-door. Yep. I don't even know what model that was. Like
Mitsubishi.
Yes, that's what it was. Yep. It was an Eclipse, and she was like, "Oh, I can fit one other person whenever we're driving back and forth to practice or going to school." And I was like, "I'm too tall. I can't get in the back of this without my knees being in my chest." And so when people would say, "Oh, we're all just going to go in Krystal's car," I was like, "Okay, great," because it was a lot of fun to have that. And I remember this was like, way back in the day. Let's get real fancy for all the young ones listening. It was that truck, because my previous one, the doo-doo brown one, the very first one, didn't even have a tape deck. So I couldn't, at that point in the 90s and early 2000s, the cool thing was you put the tape in that connected to your CD player. The external player, and you put it in there. And so my first vehicle didn't have that, but my second one, the big mama truck, I don't even remember if we called her the Big Beast or Big Bertha. It was something big, but she did. So we could listen to our tunes in there. It didn't have a CD player. It wasn't that fancy, but we had the tape.
It's a work truck. It's where these guys are fixing things with their hands. They're not like rocking out from job to job. They're sweating and thinking.
Plus the music is distracting, right?
Music is definitely distracting.
Yeah.
It's a good distraction.
Yeah.
So do you remember what happened to that, the F-350? Or were you on to more reasonable, less gigantic automobiles?
So after that, I did have a F-150 after that. And that was because we were getting into the practicality of me going to college, and I was going to be about 4.5 hours away from home. So I guess the fuel prices were too high that my parents were finally like, hey, let's consider something a little more economical.
Yeah.
Still a truck.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
in Texas.
Exactly. So my freshman year, or it was my senior year of high school and into my freshman year. Actually, no, I take that back. It was just my senior year of college. So I had 3 trucks all through high school. My last one was an F-150. And I'm so embarrassed to say this because now I'm like, oh my gosh, like the things that we did when we were 18. But the cool thing to do then, speaking of music, is I installed with my own money, because again, the entrepreneur, my dad was like, I will absolutely not buy that for you, but you can pay for that yourself. I saved up my money for my birthday, Christmas, everything. And I got a CD player and a subwoofer.
Nice.
Now, just looking back, it's one of those things. It's like, really, we did that. We did.
Oh, that was an accomplishment. But see, that was an accomplishment. Now, to a generation that has, a trillion songs in your pocket, that's no big deal. But to get inside of, your 2-ton jukebox, it meant a lot. I remember in my Buick Skyhawk in high school, I have not thought about this in so long, but I guess was I junior or senior? And I don't know if I worked for them. Where did the money come from? Maybe I robbed a bank. I don't know at that age. But
probably
I had the nicest deck. Tape deck? Was it a tape? Yeah, it must have been a tape deck. Putting that, and it completely transformed the experience of just hauling people around. And now it was just a party everywhere we went.
Right. Yeah. And you become more popular, kind of like how Krystal said. And Krystal, did you install the stereo yourself?
Oh, no. No. That's one of those things that was like, we had limited means in my small town. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go to the big city. I'm air quoting big city, like 30 minutes away, because they have a specialty store that can, you can purchase, install, do everything in just a few hours. So that was the route that I chose.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
So now as we move forward, are we about ready to talk about the Swiss Army knife of automobiles, the Honda Odyssey, Doug, or did we need to inject something else in here?
No. I think talk about Krystal's current car, right?
Yes.
The family.
Let's talk about it. I want to hear all the great things about your Odyssey, and then I'll tell you all the great things about my Odyssey. Go ahead. We'll geek out on the Odyssey.
So my Black Beauty, I love her. She
Black
is
Beauty.
My Black Beauty, and this is what we call her. We've had her. She's a 2014, and she was new to us in 2016. So she had like 30,000, maybe 35,000 miles. Today in 2025, she's got 140. We just hit 140,000. And I mean, I never had a Honda before this. We had, as you heard, multiple Fords. I had 2 Ford Explorers before that too. And we were a Ford family. That's what we're going to drive. And then I kind of mentioned this earlier, but we haven't talked much. I have 3 kids. So ages today, they're 15, 12, and 9. And so I needed a practical car. I need a practical mom car. And it has just been the best vehicle for road trips because we live in Houston, but we have family in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and in Austin and in West Texas. So, I mean, sometimes a road trip is 7 hours for us, and we are able to do it comfortably with all of our stuff in this vehicle. So
that's the trick.
We keep talking about, my husband and I were like, should we sell it? Should we get another one? It's like, yeah, maybe one day. Like, she's got a crack in the windshield at the top, but it's above like everything. Like, I don't even care. Like, she's got some stripped paint on the side. Like, I mean, I don't care. I love her. She's ragged and she's, she's seen better days.
We call it battle scars. battle
Yes,
scars.
exactly.
That is, does yours have the Lazy Susan down below, or did they retire that in the in the newer models? Yeah, in the one I think. Oh, we had 2004 or 5, and right behind the driver and passenger, but before kind of the captain's seat, there was this kind of secret compartment where you'd rip up the floor, and there was I'm not kidding, there was kind of this circular thing. Maybe it was 2.5 feet in diameter, something like this. It was underneath the car, but you could sort of spin it to get at different compartments inside of there. It was a Lazy Susan side Odyssey.
I don't remember that.
Like you're saying, it's just a total Swiss Army knife. I remember when I got it with my former wife, I said, well, why do we need a car like this? The family was growing, ended up with 3 boys, but it was just to be able to have enough space to, like you're saying, it's not only the people, it's the stuff. So I could fit 25 bags of mulch in my whole family. Yep. And once I could fit, when I was redoing a kitchen, I could just shove cabinets, take out all the seats and just shove a bunch of cabinets in there, and I was like, oh, wow, I get it. And
for a while you had dueling minivans, didn't you? You both had Honda Odysseys.
I think for a time we did. I don't know how or why that happened, but yeah.
You loved it.
I did.
A big fan.
Just a great car. Great car. Yeah, I've had a few Hondas in my day. I still have a beat up old Acura in the park. I was texting with my son. He got a new car last night, and I was texting with him, and he said, "Do you still have that Acura? You kept the Acura?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "My money's on the Acura. My money's on that thing just outlasting everything you got." But
it's the backup plan.
It's always, it just won't stop. It won't stop, won't die. And hey, just sticking around is so much of success in life, isn't it?
Yes.
It really is. So let's see, as we sort of guide the podcast here to the off ramp. Did we have anything else we wanted to discuss, Doug, before we talked a little bit and had kind of a lightning critique of our podcast here from the Jedi, the guru herself?
Well, I just put Krystal on the spot, and we did beforehand. What is your dream car or cars?
Yes.
What's going to replace Black Beauty?
Okay, so we have been looking at pilots. We've been looking at Honda pilots for a while. And it was a cousin of mine that got the newer, like whenever the body, because, the bodies had several iterations over the last 10 years, I would say. It's gone through several, it's like square and then round and square. And then like, it's always looked appealing to me. And then recently, I think it was like the 24 body style we really liked. And then just the other day, we're walking our youngest son to the bus stop and we saw a Kia. And I was like, what is that? Because I saw it has sliding doors. I was like, is this a Kia minivan? This is gorgeous. And I am not like someone to stop. Like, I just don't really look at cars that much where I'm like, oh, that's great. Unless it's something that we've talked about, like, oh, we should, explore looking at that. But I cannot for the life of me remember what it was, but it's the Kia minivan. And I think it's a newer model that they just came out with. I'm like, I would go look at that. Yeah. I would absolutely go and look and see if it rivals, because it was a little bit shorter than the Odyssey, but it looked like it had a lot of really cool features that were on it. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's the Kia Carnival
side of me. Yeah, go ahead.
It's the Kia Carnival. One of my neighbors has one. And the nice thing, maybe this is what you liked about it, it doesn't look like a minivan. The doors blend in very well. Yep. Like you would think it's an SUV if you didn't have to look twice.
Yeah, and I think that's why it caught my eyes, because I was like, wait, those doors slide. Like, what am I looking at? What's happening here? And it was a few neighbors down. They have several kids, and I was like, okay, so this is practical. It's practical. So if we're talking about practical dreams, then something like that. If we're talking about irrational and like, just
yes,
like,
please.
What would you do? You want $1 million tomorrow? Like, what kind of car are you going to buy? I have always loved the Porsche Cayennes and watching them. Which is funny because I'm not someone that really likes to go fast, but also I kind of want to just go fast in that car just to see what happens. So that would be like, if money wasn't an option, I could buy something tomorrow. That would be the one that I think I at least want to test drive. Like, let's see what this is all about.
Yeah. My, one of our previous guests, Dora, who lives in Austin, she bought a Cayenne, and I think she bought the V8 turbo. She drives like a maniac. Actually, we had Chris Oliver on, who's a friend of hers, and he on another episode, and he's like, "Yeah, she drives faster than anybody I've ever met."
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
So yeah,
be careful with that. Be careful with that. So yeah. So again, Krystal, has just been after hearing so many wonderful things about you over the past several months. It's thank you for taking the time. And before we let you go here, just remind everybody to check out Krystal's presences, krystalproffitt.com, Krystal with a K, Proffitt with 2 F's, an I, and 2 T's.com. And basically her podcast consulting business has really allowed us to elevate or raise our game. So if this is something that you're into, please check her out and reach out. Very accessible. She's a podcast coach who helps strategize around content, which helped us out a lot because creating content is really key in what it's all about. So Krystal, if you could, I'm going to put you on the spot here. If you could give us one thing that podcasts do well, and then one thing podcasts don't do well, and then if we could make it more local here, what's one thing our podcast is doing well and could improve upon? What do you think?
Oh,
yeah.
Do
Okay.
it, Krystal.
I love all these questions. And now we're in my creative zone of genius. So this is exciting. I think that, for anybody that's listening, that's interested in podcasting, or if it's been something on your mind and you want to know kind of behind the scenes, I've talked to thousands of podcasters. I've been doing this since 2018. We were talking earlier, like I've done over 1,400 episodes myself. I've interviewed hundreds of podcasters. So like, this is literally what I eat, sleep, and breathe. And I think that the thing that most podcasters struggle with is just keep going, just finding the ability to keep showing up, no matter, if you get sick with the flu or, like something else chaotic and crazy and your business is going weird or your day job is super hard. Like finding systems and processes that allow you to keep showing up has been the frustration, but also the key to just keep going is finding that balance and what that could look like for you. I think a big area for improvement for a lot of people is they focus so much on either the aesthetic or the quality of their audio, which is important. You should focus on that, but they don't spend as much time on the content or the strategy or how their podcast can play a bigger role in their business or in monetization. And that's the piece that I would encourage people to explore a lot sooner, because I think that a lot of people have it in their mind that until I get 1 million downloads, I can't do anything. And I'm like, that's not true. It's not true at all. You can do so much with your podcast. And this is actually where I'm going to give a shout out to Doug, for all the implementation that he's done in showing up in our community and just learning and being very receptive to advice and suggestions and recommendations. Because I think that that's something y'all are doing really well, even at the beginning of your show, is having, just advice on what we could do better, what can we incorporate, and what are the next steps. And I think that the thing that y'all are already working on, we just kind of breezed over this, but from an outsider's perspective, like you're having someone from Mazda come on your show really soon. Like that's exciting. Like that's really so
super.
I encourage you to celebrate those wins along the way, because they will keep coming if you just keep showing up. And so find a way as a team or even as a community to celebrate with your audience too, because I think that a lot of people create in a vacuum where they're like, I'm just talking to my audience. Like we're just talking at you, talking at you, talking at you. But the moment you really ramp up that audience engagement, which again, I think y'all are doing an incredible job. You're reading reviews, you're giving people shout outs in the show. You're saying, friend of the pod, and you're calling people out by name. That really makes a big difference. So as much as you can, engaging with your folks and your audience, because they're going to be the ones that tell you, hey, this is the content we want to hear more of, or y'all haven't covered this before. And can you talk about this? Or I have a great guest suggestion, or even I would love to come on the show. Like, can we chat about my story? The more you just really lean into your audience and listen to your people, they're going to tell you what they want to hear. And that's going to be the key to really unlocking those next levels of success in your show.
Great answer. Great answer. And one thing that rings so true to me is that you have to keep putting stuff out. I'm one of these people. I get a paralysis by analysis. The perfect be the enemy of the good. And you can't do that. You just got to keep shipping. You just got to keep pushing it out the door. Just keep pushing out the door. And the funny thing is that we're light years better than we were at the beginning. And that's only by showing up. And, I'm good at process improvement, but Doug is very good at it. So it's that tinker, little bit of tinkering, get a little bit better, man, get 1% better. Every show, 1% better. All we got to be is 1% better. We got to be 50% better. Let's get 1% better this time. So that's beautiful. What do you think about all that, Doug?
I think it's wonderful. No, I feel like we've gotten so much better and as more polished, I hope. Getting better at editing. We've got a few short videos out. I'm getting more comfortable being on video and doing things myself a little more. And you've just been that great stable. Like I remember we were a couple weeks in, and I'm like, why aren't we getting downloads like so and so? Well, they've been doing it longer, right? They've been at it longer. They have a real name that people know. But we're getting there, and
we'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there.
And we've had some great, I think about James, Andrew, a lot of other people. We've just had such great support
and engagement.
Recently, James and Caroline from HH Wheels. Like what a great family, and very positive, very supportive.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm so glad that Krystal mentioned polish because, I took a shower about a month ago and it's made all the difference in the world. All right. She was Krystal Proffitt. Krystal, again, just a total blast hanging out with you. Thank you for your time, your wisdom, and we look forward to having you back at some point in the future.
Thank you all so much for having me. This was a blast. And like I said, I love sharing these stories. So thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
Had a great time. Yeah. Go ahead, Doug.
No. Thank you, Krystal. Can't thank you enough. I know I put you on the spot when I asked you to be on it, but you said yes.
Too good. Well, thanks again. You have just heard the high revving, low mileage late model heard around the world. Yes, even in Australia. Welcome podcast on automotive nostalgia. He's Doug. Reach him at doug@carslove.com. I'm Christian. Reach me at christian@carslove.com. And she was Krystal, the one and only. Please follow and tell a friend. Write a review if you feel so inclined. Check us out on Linktree, linktr.ee/carslove. I am sure we'll see you at the next local car show, showroom, race strip, Concord. We appreciate you listening. We'll see you next time.